Yeah. So my name's Dheevashni. I am one of a team of two property investors. The good thing about being a team, you can delegate tasks. So I've been voted spokesperson for the team, clearly, because I'm here today. And yeah, so we both in the engineering profession. And I'm formerly from Pretoria, and my husband's formerly from Durban, but we're both now living in East London. And yeah, we in the business of property to build a family legacy with everything that you said before: cash flow, um, having the opportunity or the ability to leave your job or not rely on one stream of income. That was why we entered, yeah, into
And
property
you guys didn't enter, I mean, you entered the property market 5, 6, 7 years ago.
7 years ago. And
Yeah, I mean,
I laughed at what you said because I was not very cocky about my first deal in 2015. I was afraid. It took me 2 years to get over the fact that I owed someone so much money. I was
yeah.
like, oh no, they're going to come after me. And I was still paying in. Um, so I started in 2015. Yeah,
Mm.
2 years. I bought my next one in Pretoria. Then my husband bought one in East London. And then a year before we found you, we actually bought another property. And it was great. We were buying assets, right? We were in the game. That's what we were told. But they were all eating into our salary at the end of the day. They were all cash flow negative. Um,
No.
they were not
Did you
making us any
find that that
money.
was affecting your affordability?
Yes. Once I understood how we got bonds, yes, I was like, oh, okay. So this is not, I thought it worked like a credit record, like, oh, okay, you trusted me, I paid you back, now you can trust me with some more money. But yeah, once I got to know the numbers, I was like, oh, okay, so this is not actually a good thing for me.
Mm. But you bought
Yeah,
in nice areas, right? Like you bought in
yes,
areas that there's going to be some capital appreciation, so it's still worth to hold. But
yes.
after seeing the possibility of positive cash flow, your mindset has changed.
Completely. I think you said that to somebody that one of the things we did do is extract some equity, help finance other deals. Yeah, those are the things we're like, okay, they weren't good areas and these areas are coming up. So, yeah, we still have them. But once we saw cash flow positive was possible, you can't go back.
Yeah, I tend to
There,
recommend, you first start with cash flow positive. You buy three, four,
yes,
five investments there, then you buy a new build or a nice suburban area property where you're going to get some capital appreciation. But first get the cash flow, then get an appreciation. Then buy another five and then get, I mean, obviously we don't get taught this at school, but
no.
So anyway, let's get to know you a little bit more. Some questions that I had prepared for you. The first one is, why do you like property?
So we like property as an investment vehicle because I think with anything you get into, there's a demand and supply. So the demand for property caters to one of the fundamental needs of a human is shelter. So second to food, it felt like me understanding the stock market and all of that was not possible. So I understood property at the end of the day. And yeah, you said it earlier. The other part was leverage. The banks gave you money to invest. So the concept of other people's money also came into play. Yeah.
Nice. Second question. What strategy are you guys currently focusing on, and why have you chosen that strategy?
Yes, so as our history states, we were following the buy to hold strategy, but all cash flow negative property. So, in order to enable it to be cash flow positive, it was the multi let route seemed the most feasible option. Yeah.
And multi-let, sometimes I just wanted to clarify this, but sometimes people think, okay, multi-let is a block of flats. Multi-let is not just a block of flats. A multi-let can take different forms. You can have a house where you have multiple rooms being rented
Units.
out. That's a
Yeah.
that's a multi-let. You can have a one-bedroom apartment that's quite spacious. You can subdivide, put some panels in place, put three people in there, and turn it into a multi-let. You can buy a church and renovate it into. There's different ways in which you can actually multi-let a property. So why for you, D, has multi-letting been important?
So I think one of the things to the first question is that there was a need. So on all the scales of people requiring accommodation or houses to live in, there is a genuine need for room rentals. There's even up until bed rentals is a thing. If you're in the right area, in the right space, you just need to cater to that need. So it worked to make those properties cash flow positive, essentially. So that's what it works for us, and we're catering to these needs in society.
Did you have to tell the tenants that you're multi-letting the property out, or?
No, we found a rental agent who does room rentals, and it was clearly understood. I think you said there was house rules. There's for
Yeah,
common areas that you put in place that gets signed with the lease document. So everyone understands you're living. There's certain areas that are communion. So these are the
yeah.
rules that you operate in, and if they don't, there's regular checkups. So they need to keep it to a certain standard or the way you gave it to them, essentially, in order to be there. So that falls within the rental agreement. It's different from
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's like you said, it's quite common, right? In these
Yeah,
areas, I think people actually enjoy having a
very.
bit of. COVID obviously did make it a bit more tricky, I think.
Yes. Yeah, for the bigger properties, like you said, people took houses and split them and all of that. That maybe made it a bit difficult, but yeah, there's a big need for it. That's what I've experienced. Yeah.
100%. Question number 3. What area? I always talk about this in my videos, but you start with strategy and then you have to find an area that works. So you've chosen an area. Why have you chosen that area?
So we're currently investing in East London, the CBD of East London, because it fits all the requirements you said earlier, like the density, close, and also for us. So for us to be closer to the property, to learn a hands-on learning experience with this cash flow positive, in a lower income sort of environment, so we could really know what we're getting ourselves into,
Yeah,
essentially.
just to that point, I think that's important because when we first started our coaching, it was all about. I mean, I was pushing you into Berea and Heelbrow. Not really because I wanted you to invest there, but more I wanted you to see what a market that is good from a rental perspective looks like, from a financial perspective. And I remember we got quite close to doing a deal. You had a signed OTP,
Yeah.
and then it fell through last minute. And you guys said
Yep.
to me, it's a bit uncomfortable to invest remotely. And the reality is, when you're starting out in your journey, investing remotely is quite scary. And it's actually best to find a local low income market to invest in.
Yeah, because after a while, we initially visited the property. We got to know the area really well. We were comfortable with it. We stayed there when we did our renovation. We stayed there for long periods of time. Our car was parked outside, so we got to know the environment a lot better. So we're like, it really does help. I
Mm.
think, to build your confidence, because
Yeah,
yeah, that's essentially what we needed to do. Yeah.
fantastic. So you obviously joined my coaching program. Thank you for that. What was the driving force behind that? Why didn't you've done 4 deals before. Why did you think you needed a coach's help?
Our history has stated we've been in this for a few years in property, and honestly, we wanted to fast track it. One of the things we did want to do is, and to basically get into the cash flow positive feel like deals, and we need to obviously then talk to someone that knows, who's done this, who showed that this is how it's done, could give guidance, because before, I think we bought nice properties, to be honest. So it was emotionally driven. Maybe we were like, oh, we'd live here, whatever. But now we needed guidance in a different sort of field, and we needed our mindset change. So I think that's what you brought to us, is that he took us the tools and the techniques, but also just guiding us through the whole process to make sure that we kind of don't follow our emotions and follow the numbers and what works.
Mm.
Because like you said, it's the logical approach. We picked a strategy, we found the area, and now we're looking for the deals. So yeah,
Nice.
and obviously to get cash flow positive deals, that's what we wanted.
Yeah, because that was my final question. You've shown us the history. You guys were cash flow negative enthusiasts, having for liabilities. No, that's a harsh word. They're still assets, but they're not cash flow assets. They're capital
Paying
gains
for other people
assets.
to live in our properties.
Yes, you're paying for someone else's lifestyle. Where are you now?
Yep.
That's where you were. Where are you guys now?
Yeah, so now I think we're a lot more confident in being able to identify and assess for cash flow positive deal. We put in a lot of offers, we signed a lot of OTPs, we were rejected, we were told we were crazy. A rental agent told me, "How could you think this?" It was like,
Yeah.
it did feel at one point we were looking for something that didn't exist, but we did. We followed through, and yeah, we're here now.
Well, that's exactly where we are now. We're here at
Yes.
the reveal of your first cash flow positive deal. Before we get into it, how does it feel to be at this stage where you've done a deal, you know it works?
I won't lie, I'm still shocked. I think when we started off, the only person we spoke to about this is with you. So
Yeah.
when we started like telling other people, so like my husband's brother or my father or whatever, and they were like, no, they were like, how does this work? And I'm like, I know, it's amazing. I was also like, okay, we're gonna do this. I mean, the process to get here, like you said before, we started off with the Berea deal. Um, and it failed. It was a stumbling block. I mean, you had to pull us back onto track after that. And then I've been into so many strangers' houses. We One good thing is we know our area a lot better now. Both of us being from different areas, we know East London really well now. So it really feels great to know that we
Yeah.
followed through and we found a property that works.
Sure. Amazing story. So tell us a little bit about this building. How did you find it? Where is it located?
Yeah, so like we said, it was literally a year's journey when we first signed up with you. So you said before we started with Berea, we had a failed deal, and then we thought to um, look for a property in East London. So we looked for an area that kind of looks just like Berea and Hillbrow, high density, on taxi routes, near shopping centres, near people's work. So after we found Quigney, we literally went to a lot of properties. I think I know every deal that's available on Property 24 and private property in this area and in the like category we are looking in. And yeah, we found this property, we put in an offer, and it was accepted. And yeah, I think we'll get to the numbers, but it worked.
Well, yeah, let's have a look on the inside. I mean, I know that there was quite some renovations that you had to do. I mean, I'm looking at this first photo. What is going on in that bathroom?
Yes, so it didn't look like that when we first inspected it. Because we found it towards the end of last year, there was a 3 month delay between when we viewed it and when the offer was completely done. It was in our name. So once we got the property was vacant. So once we got there, there was a bit of water damage. You can see at the in the going into the bathroom, the dirt sort of. Um, so we had to get someone in to assess it, and it was not a major fault. It was just the unit on top doing some work, and they like share panel or whatever. So yeah, we had to get that repaired, and you can see from the picture below, we put in a shower curtain and we put in curtains. So our property is targeted as female, so we catered to the category that we wanted to. So yeah, we made it
It's
look really
lovely because you
nice.
didn't invest millions into
Mm-mm.
bringing this part. You invest a few thousand to make it clean, to make it functional, and that's what's serving that market. What did you guys do here in the kitchen? It looks like quite a lot of work was done.
Yeah, so this is those older type buildings, so the ceilings are quite high, and it was a lot of space. So initially it was a one bedroom. So as you can see, that's how the kitchen was naturally divided by that countertop. We
So
then
the top
just
one is the before, hey? That's what
yes,
it looked like before you bought it, yeah.
yeah. And then the opposite view, we just then built using drywall two other rooms. And they're massive. I'll be honest. They're really big, spacious. We could fit, you're going to see now, built in cupboards into them. Yeah, it fits a single bed, a double bed. Everyone is very happy with the room. with the rooms that we
Amazing.
provided.
I mean,
Mm.
you've got these older properties that have the large space.
Mm.
Subdivide with some dry walling. You turn a negative cash flow apartment into a multi-let that's cash flow positive.
Yeah.
So this is obviously you didn't buy this property just because it's beautiful. You bought it because it makes a lot of financial sense. So take us through the numbers of this deal.
Yeah. So there's really not much to say about these numbers. We were able to rent it for 6,500 rand a month.
Is that to three people? Hey,
3 people, yes. So before
so three
renovations were
individual
done,
leases and making a
yes.
total of 6.5. Okay.
Before renovations were done, 2 of the rooms were already rented. So we needed to make sure, things were on time. And we accounted for the bond costs, of course, rates and taxes, provisions, which accounts for any maintenance that needs to be done in the unit. And then we have a really good managing agent, and then utilities. And we managed to find a deal with a return on investment of 14.5%.
Yeah. So you put about 50,000, I would
Yes.
assume. Yeah, roughly 50 grand of your own money is in it. The rest is financed by the bank. I mean, isn't
Yep.
that crazy? You're only spending 50,000 and you're making 600 rand positive cash flow indefinitely. As long as you hold
Yep.
this asset and as long as it performs well, you're making 600 rand per month indefinitely.
Yeah. And we took
And
into account maintenance. It's
you
like
took
that's what,
provisions, maintenance,
yeah.
you've got a vacancy provision in there. You also budgeted your
Yes.
numbers on a bond interest rate of 9.5%, I
Mm.
assume, is
Yep.
what you probably estimated your numbers on. So I mean, and over time, your tenant is paying off the bond.
Yes. So it's going to get better. It's just going to get better. Yeah.
Now, what's exciting is that this isn't just your only deal, your only positive
Yeah.
cash flow deal. You've also got a little saucy secret where you're buying another property, but through a different mechanism, which is through an auction, right?
Yes. It's still amazed by.
Did you ever think you'd be doing an auction 12
No.
months ago when we first met? I actually didn't
No.
think
I
you'd
didn't
do it
even.
either.
Yeah. We never even spoke about it. It like, no, it was not
But your
a thought.
confidence is so high because, and that's the thing that I try and explain to people. They is once you've done a deal, the second one is so much easier. The first deal is the hardest to do. It's
It is.
taken you guys a year of blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, we've spoken many times about how hard it has been and how motivated you've needed, how much you've needed to motivate yourself to get going. But your second deal happened a couple weeks after your first deal,
Also, yep.
and it fell into your lap.
Yes. It's also, yeah, it we knew the area, we knew the numbers, so we
Yeah,
we
spoiler
did it.
alert, guys. It's the same freaking building.
Yeah, at a discounted price. That's what got me the most, like we really just put in the offer knowing what we know, and it was accepted. And it's a
Yeah,
better return.
knowing what you know the rates, you know the
Mm.
provisions, you know the rent, you know everything because you've got an identical unit, and all you're doing now is cookie cutter.
Copy paste. Yes.
That's exciting, man.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Yeah, so this deal, from what I understand, has been secured through OTP and finance has been approved. So it's not in your
Yes.
name yet, but it's pretty
No.
much a done deal.
Yeah. We just need to follow through with the same steps.
You
Yeah.
know, there's going to come a time when you're going to be presenting on one of these webinars. I might not even be there. You might be doing this on your own in the future. And you're going to have this whole building in your name, I think. It's going to
Yeah.
become your guys' little block of flats.
Yeah. Sure. That would be something. Honestly, from where we started, um, I'm still amazed.
I'm very proud of you guys, man. This is awesome. So let's end off with a couple of lessons that you can share with those on the call tonight that are starting out that were like you a couple of years back. What should they know? How should they get started?
Yeah, so a big part, and I think that's what we also got from you, is all of these things is that follow the numbers. It works. Um, don't get emotional. I think that's the other big part because you're going to go in, especially the market we chose to get into. You're going to go into places that don't necessarily mean you would live there, but it caters to a need. That's what I always come back to. And those numbers you followed, we followed the strategy. And I think that's what also helped us, is having you there to guide us through this. And now that we've done it, we feel a lot more confident. I mean, we didn't even tell you about the auction deal until, well, we didn't believe it would actually happen, and then it did. And I remember when I called, when we had our session, I said, guess what, we just got one at an auction. You were like, what? I was like, me too. I mean, I was amazed. So initially, the other thing is, it does take time. I think that's what I think got both of us in this whole process, is that we understood, we're like, yeah, we're gonna do this. Multi-let, we understood the numbers and all of that, but to find the deal that actually works is difficult. And another part is, because we go in with a requesting a discount, I do feel like that was one of the biggest difficulties for me, because it's like telling someone their child is not pretty. If you basically offering a lower price, I felt like that. So that's where me sticking to the numbers really helped, and not getting like, oh, how can we ask this person for less or whatever. But it really helps, if you know what is your goal at the end of the day. And then you're just going to sign a lot of OTPs and go into a lot of houses. That's what I.
Yeah, you said you've been in many strangers' house. You've
Yes. The funny thing is, we
you,
have no relatives here, so we visit strangers. That's what we do.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I've also noticed it now. In the beginning, it was very exciting. I had all these emotions when I started out viewing. I was nervous and scared and excited, and I was so
Mm.
emotionally charged and driven. And now when I go and view a property, because I've done it so many times, I know what I'm looking for. There's this calmness, and I think I don't get swayed by my emotions anymore. Now it's
Yes.
so much easier to look at the numbers, because that fear and all those emotional energies that come from starting something new,
Mm.
again, your hardest deal is going to be your first one. And now that you guys have cracked the code, I mean, give it another 5 years and you'll be financially free, sipping cocktails, charting some yacht into the sea. It's going to be nice.
Yeah. We look forward to that. Honestly, what you said is very true. So, yeah, the first one is the hardest.
Yeah, 100%. Dee, thanks so much for sharing your story. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea to jump onto a webinar and speak to random strangers and to share your inside feelings and stuff. So thank you for being brave and for sharing with us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for initially putting all of the knowledge you learned out there. I really would have still been buying these properties cash flow
Yeah.
negative. So yeah.